देखो ये जो है ना चार शब्द जो डायरेक्ट सोशल मीडिया पे कर सकते हैं, ठीक है ठीक है।
Without taking much more time, we are inviting Comrade A.M. Abu Shahs, the Palestinian ambassador, to address this event. The flag Okay, comrade. Okay, now we'll start the session.
Namaste. It's not easy to me to stand between or among in front of my oldest comrade. It's not easy to me to stand today and to deliver the message on behalf of the Palestinian people among the most distinguished people, the most key people to the Palestinian question, the communist people, whom was long time ago with Palestine and whom will continue to be forever with not only with Palestine, but with Palestine, with Cuba, with Venezuela, with everywhere where is the human suffering, with everywhere where the people or the country is suffering from the imperialism. I thank you so much indeed for having me today. And to start, of course, thanking and congratulating the CPI for convening this very important conference, and not only important conference for you, but for us in Palestine, once we find, because we, as a communist people, believe of one human and shared future. This is the exact principles that you born on it and raise on it and continue to fight for adopting this principle and upholding it. This is the exact principle that we, the Palestinians, believing of it. We, the human being, have one shared human future. Not only this, and also we have a shared history. Yes, in India and Palestine have a shared history, and allow me to shed light on this part of a tiny part of this shared history. Mid-1930s, many of the Indian people was supporting the Palestinian revolution. We launched a revolution in 1936. It was continued for 3 years. India was there to support the Palestinian people at the very first revolution. While you have this revolution in two types, of course, the military revolution, and we should also all remember the murder, Bhagat Singh, in this very important occasion. He's not your hero alone. Bhagat Singh is our hero as a Palestinian. And you also, under the chairmanship of the late Gandhi, launched another type of revolution, very human revolution, which is the non-violence resolution. And we also copied it. But again, the shared history between us is long time ago, when the late Mahatma Gandhi refused the partition plan of Palestine, which was a plan that discussed in 1947 in the United Nations. India refused the partition plan of Palestine, and there is a famous says by the late Mahatma Gandhi says, Palestine belonged to the Palestinian people like England belonged to the British people. Yes, India was there at that time. India voted against the resolution of partition plan of Palestine. India was the first ever non-Arab, non-Muslim country to recognize the state of Palestine. India was the first one, mid-1970, to have a relationship with the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, and to give us very soon and very early, late 1970, to have an office, representative office in India. India was one of the most countries who is used to and still strongly supporting the Palestinian question when it came to the United Nations. India, just 1 week ago, was voted in favor of another resolution for the Palestinian people to endorse. Just 1 week, less than 1 week ago, India voted in favor of this resolution. So that anyone is saying that India is not there, no, India was there, India is still there, and will continue to be with the Palestinian question. India also is giving a lot of support to the Palestinian people when it came to the sustainable development. There is a lot of projects. Part of it was already completed, and part of it is still running, and part of it, such as a hospital in West Bank, is still, they are discussing, and still India very soon will go to start building this hospital in West Bank. So that India, you as Indian people, your government, your leaders, everything, and I can assure you that we have we have and we used to receive a lot of support long time ago, still receiving, and we are pretty sure that we will continue to receive this support from India and from the Indian people. Back to the Palestinian question, and I used to tell the media, we are not looking for anyone's support. I know it's shocking to say that. We are looking for the media just to give us the chance to tell our story. Media is reporting about Palestine. Today, all what you know, the vast majority of the information you know it about Palestine is just reporting. 65,000 Palestinians killed, 237 journalists slain at the hand of the Israeli slaughtering machine, Gaza in rubble, and all of this stuff. This is reporting. The question of Palestine is more than reporting. The question of Palestine started by whom is the owner, whom is the indigenous people of this land, whom had the right and the full right to this land. This is the story that we want.
इस्राएली हमलावर मुर्दाबाद 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 इस्राएली हमलावर मुर्दाबाद 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 वीरा वीरा Palestine Palestine Palestine
Here we are again. So again, just to shed light in this particular message that I used to carry or I used to ask the media, again, it's necessary to report about Palestine. Reporting about Palestine is necessary, but not sufficient. The most important issue, the sufficient issue, is to give us the chance to tell our story. What is in the right now on the table worldwide is there is the Zionist narrative, only the Zionist narrative, not the Palestinian story. But yes, there is a lot of numbers that is coming from Gaza, and there is millions, if not hundreds of tens of millions of videos, pictures came from Gaza that is describing the miserable situation the Palestinian people. My family there in Gaza is enduring it. For 715 days at the hand of the United States of America and Israel. This is not Israeli war alone. This is the United States of America and the Israeli war on Gaza against the Palestinians. So that it's very important to listen to the Palestinian story, not only reporting about Palestine. And Palestinian story started thousands of years ago, and here I would like, I know not all of you is aware of the Old Testament. the Holy Bible for the Jewish, in the very first chapter called Genesis, verses 21/34, and it says, "We sojourned Abraham in the land of Palestine many days." So we, the Palestinian, the land of Palestine, the title deed of Palestine, the very first proof that we are there before Abraham came to our land is the Bible itself, is the Old Testament, is the Jewish Holy Book. The word Palestine, Canaan, because we used to be called Canaan and the Canaani people and the Canaan land. These names is repeated tens of times, if not hundreds of times, in the Bible, in the Old Testament. So that if there is a story, and the story, where should we start? We can start by the very existence. And if someone is denying our existence, likewise, the American ambassador to Israel, who said that there is no such thing called the Palestinian people, we used to tell him, we are there according not to our claim, but according to what written in the Old Testament itself. And our story, the next juncture of our story was started in November 2nd, 1917, when the United Kingdom, and needless to remind you of the United Kingdom, issued the despicable Balfour Declaration. November 2nd, 1917, United Kingdom, which had zero footprint in our land at that time, issued the notorious despicable Balfour Declaration. In this declaration, they gifted our homeland to the Khazarian Jew. At that time, the modern misery, the modern evil that we are enduring was starting. At that time, they put or they sowed the seeds to the evil and to the misery that the Palestinian enduring since 108 years ago. This led to the catastrophe, Al-Nakba, 1948, when the Israeli terrorist Jewish gangs, terrorist military Jewish gang, and this is not our word, this is the exact name that the United Kingdom, the mandatory power, used to call them, terrorist Jewish gangs. And two of those terrorist gangs, leaders, Menachem Begin and Ishaq Shamir, was wanted terrorists to the mandatory power United Kingdom, mid-1940s, two of them became prime ministers of Israel. So that when they are talking about terrorism and all of this stuff, Israel is the godfather, is the master seed when it came to terrorism and all of this stuff. In 1948, those terrorist gangs succeeded to exploit, of course, by the full support of the United Kingdom and many other Western countries at that time. United Kingdom used to demilitarize the Palestinian people and used to hang to death. Again, United Kingdom used to hang to death in mid-1930, 1940, hang to death any Palestinian for one bullet. So that when we used to say that the Hagat Singh is your murder and our murder, because we endure the same exact policy and measures that you used to endure, we endure from the same exact colonizer or occupier. So we found ourselves completely demilitarized, while the Jewish terrorist gangs at that time is fully or militarized to the teeth. Those military gangs, terrorist military gangs, succeeded to expel and ethnically cleanse our people from our homeland, Palestine. I personally, my late father was born in our village, Barga, and I personally born in a refugee camp as a consequence of the Nakba that my father and my family endured in 1948. Then in 1967, Israel succeeded to occupy the remaining part of Palestine, which is consisting only 22% of the historical land of Palestine. Since that time, or long time ago, we the Palestinians did not stop and will not stop resisting the Israeli occupation. This is our full legitimate right to resist the Israeli occupation. This is how you, the Indian people, since the first War of Independence, 1857, when your ancestors launched a military revolution against the British mandate, we are copying you in this regard. We copied you and we will continue to resist the Israeli occupation. Of course, President Abbas, the PLO, the chairman of the PLO, choose the Mahatma Gandhi path of resistance, peaceful resistance. But guess what? Even with this path, they use to call him a terrorist diplomat. President Abbas, who is the signatory of Oslo Accord, they call him a terrorist diplomat. So when it came to Israel, the classification is there. If you are Palestinian, whether you are infant, 1 month, 1 day old, or very old man, you are terrorist, or you will grow to be terrorist. So we, the Palestinians, have our classification. If you are Indian and criticize the Israeli occupation, they will accuse you of being anti-Semitic. But if you are Jewish, and there is tens of thousands of Jewish who stand with the Palestinian question, who is strongly supporting the Palestinian question, and doing a great job towards this question, they used to call them, classify them as a hate self-Jew. This is the point. This is part of the story that we want the media, especially here in India, to know more about it, to know more about the story, not only to report about Palestine. Back to the very important juncture in the international, in the global history, which is October 7th. Everyone worldwide is just talking now about October 7th and consequence. Not everyone, every unrational one, or the Zionist movement school of thought, want us all to believe that the history was started at that day, at that exact morning, and want us to believe that everything, 715 days of continuous textbook, televised, massacre is justified by what happened in that day. This is the poisoning Zionist school of thought, which poisoned already, or Zionizing the global conscience. No, the story is long time before that. And the story cannot be, or the history cannot be started there. Otherwise, we should agree with, when it came to your history, that the history or part of your history was started only by the revolution or the military revolution when your ancestor launched a military resistance and killed some British at 1857. But there was a history behind that. Everyone wants us to remove the history. Everyone wants us just to remember that exactly. Likewise, what happened with your ancestors, again, more than 150 years ago, or 200 years ago. This is exact issue. Again, two schools of thought. Yes, October 7th it happened. For us as a Palestinian Liberation Organization, President Abbas, we completely against it because we already choose our path, our Mahatma Gandhi path of peaceful resistance to the Israeli occupation, military occupation. But again, this is not the only day of the history. This is the difference between the rational school of thought, which we and you and every rational one representing it, and top of them, of course, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, when he delivered his speech on 24th October 2023, and at that speech, he said, and October 7th did not happen from a vacuum. he connected it to the root of it, which is the Israeli. It's very important to know that it was not happened to from a vacuum. We, in the Palestinian Liberation Organization, Palestinian Authority, State of Palestine, under the chairmanship of Yasser Arafat, want everyone to believe that this is not the starting point of the history. Starting point of the history was happening a long time ago. And we should work together to make sure that we are going to solve, to resolve, to tackle the root of the problem, not the symptom of the problem. The symptom of the problem is the school of thought, the Zionist school of thought want us to tackle this, the root, the symptom of the problem. But we, all of us, want to tackle the root of the problem, which is the Israeli occupation and Nakba that we had enduring it, and the unjust situation that we found ourselves on it since, again, November 2nd, 1917. When it came to the Palestinian question, Palestinian history, there is many things to do it. But again, my appeal to all of you, every one of you can be a game changer. I mean it. Every one of you can be a game changer. There is many tools. Every country can be a game changer. Just yesterday, many Muslim countries was recognized the state of Palestine. This is a necessary step, but this should not be the end goal to recognize the state of Palestine. There is many tools in our hand as individual and at our hand as countries. If we utilize it, if every one of you utilize these tools, he will be a game changer. Very peaceful tools, very legal tools, very diplomatic tools, very economic tools. If the countries decided to end the Israeli occupation, just stop trading with the Israeli settlement, it will be in within 1 month. It will be in within 1 month. But you cannot say that I am against the Israeli settlement, then the product of the Israeli settlement is filling your shelf. This is hypocrisy, this is double standard. You cannot say that I'm against the Israeli settlement, while the representative of Israel, the ambassador of Israel to X and Y country is a settler. This is again hypocrisy and double standard. I'm against the Israeli settlement. I will not accept the Israeli settler to be ambassador of Israel to my country. Period. I will not accept to trade with the settlement. I will not accept to invest in the settlement. This will dismantle the settlement itself, and this will dismantle the Israeli occupation. This when it came to the countries itself. But to you as individual, each one of you in his hand had his iPhone, I mean smartphone. Smartphone is very important tools in our hands as a supporter of justice worldwide. Don't stop publishing videos, photos came from Gaza and Palestine. Don't stop sharing. There is a lot of more criminal leaders around the world. And all of them is supporting the genocide. All of them on Twitter, in other social media platforms. Follow them in their Twitter and social media platforms. Raise, tape, send them just the photos and the videos that came from Gaza. This is another very important tool, very peaceful tool. I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much indeed. Long live India. Long live Cuba. Long live Palestine. Long live Venezuela. Long live our shared humanity. Our shared one human future. Long live.
Oh, Malaya camera. Oi.
ਉਹਦਾ ਚਾਰਜ ਲਾ ਦੋ
Okay, thank you very much for your good speech, and I think you understood the three of the delegates. They are all with your struggle, and will continue our struggle till your homeland, independent homeland is achieved. So, Comrade, now I am requesting our Rajya Sabha member of Parliament, Comrade P. Santosh Kumar, to pass the resolution on solidarity with Palestine.
The 25th Congress of the Communist Party of India reaffirms its unwavering solidarity with the heroic people of Palestine in the protracted struggle for national liberation, justice and sovereignty. The Palestinian question remains one of the longest unresolved issues on the agenda of the international community. The CPI recalls its historic position in support of the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination and to establish an independent, sovereign state of Palestine with Eastern Jerusalem as its capital along the 1967 borders. We express our deepest condolences for the massive loss of life, destruction of homes, and displacement of millions of Palestinians caused by Israelis' relentless bombardments, siege and military assaults on Gaza and the West Bank. We stand firmly with the Palestinian people in the just cause against occupation, apartheid policies and violations of international humanitarian law. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza has reached catastrophic levels. According to Gaza's health ministry, the death toll among Palestinians has now surpassed 70,000 people, with more than 160,000 injured, including a very large number of children. The recent Israeli ground offensive in Gaza City, backed by intense bombardment from air, sea and artillery, has destroyed homes, hospitals, refugee camps and key infrastructure, while causing massive displacement. Reports also indicate many civilians remain trapped in densely populated areas, cut off from humanitarian aid with a severe shortage of food, clean water, electricity and medical supplies. All this is nothing but genocide. In recent years, Israel has intensified its settler colonial expansion through land seizures, forced evictions and the construction of illegal settlements. These actions not only deepen the occupation but also further erode the prospects for the establishment of a viable, continuous and independent Palestinian state. The overwhelming majority of world public opinion, together with successive United Nations General Assembly resolutions, has consistently upheld the Palestinian right to self-determination. They have called for an immediate end to Israeli occupation and apartheid practices, reinforcing the justice and urgency of the Palestinian struggle. The Communist Party of India expresses its steadfast solidarity with the Palestinian people and the inalienable rights to self-determination, national independence and sovereignty. It firmly condemns Israel's occupation, blockade, settlement expansion, apartheid practices, war crimes and crimes against humanity committed against the Palestinian people. The party demands an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the lifting of the blockade on Gaza and full humanitarian access for international agencies to deliver food, medical supplies and reconstruction assistance. It calls for the establishment of an independent and sovereign state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital based on the 1967 borders and its right to return for Palestinian refugees in accordance with UN Resolution 194. The CPI further urges the Government of India to consistently uphold India's historic commitment to the Palestinian cause in all bilateral, regional and multilateral forums, including the United Nations, and to refrain from military, security and arms cooperation with Israel that strengthens the machinery of occupation and to expand humanitarian assistance to Palestine, including medical aid, scholarships for Palestinian students and support for reconstruction projects in Gaza and the West Bank. The 25th Congress of the Communist Party of India reaffirms its enduring commitment to the cause of Palestine and its heroic struggle for freedom. The CPI declares that the liberation of Palestine is inseparably linked to the global struggle against imperialism, colonialism and racism. The 25th Congress of the CPI pledges to intensify solidarity with the people, with Palestine, until the Palestinian people achieve the legitimate rights, including the right to return, the right to sovereignty and the right to live in peace and dignity in the homeland. Thank you.
So comrades, we adopt this resolution? Yes. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Thank you, comrades, and thank you for your excellency having come here. No, not a problem.
मैं तो ठीक है आज नहीं खाते जिन्होंने क्या है
लापरीत है इन्हों हलाइए
Viva Cuba! Viva Cuba! Long live Fidel Castro! Long live Cuban Revolution! Long live Cuban Revolution! Long live Cuban Revolution!
Okay, comment trust, wait by day.
कमेंट आप थोड़ा सा उधर हाँ
So, comrade, let me invite comrade Juan Carlos Watson.
अरमड़ा फिरदा आ चक्की फिरदा क्या है ये मेरा टेंशन है कमाल है
He was also part of the international
हैं
and we often met in different countries for the
फिर
communist and anarchist.
चक्की तो फिरदा यार
Now I request you to address this session. Long live, long live. Long live, long live. Long live, long live. Well, the Ramja General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, member of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee, of the party delegates, friends, all. It's a real pleasure to be here. I would like to start by thanking the Communist Party of India for inviting us, Ambassador of Palestine and myself, to participate in this important meeting solidarity with Palestine and with Cuba. As Conrad Pala said, India and Cuba are celebrating 65 years of bilateral relations. This relation started in 1959 Even few months after the triumph of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro sent one of the important senior leaders in Cuba, Che Guevara, to visit India. It happened on July 1959. And the history links India, Cuba, and Palestine. Because Che Guevara, before coming to India on July 1959, he was the first Latin American left leader or personality to visit Gaza to convey a message from the Cuban Revolution that we support the right of the Palestinian people for their freedom. It was in 1959. In 1973, Fidel Castro visited India. It was the first visit. Fidel was attending an important meeting in Algeria. He passed in transit here in Delhi and then went to Vietnam. He was also the first president to visit the south of Vietnam when they were fighting the imperialists. And this year, 1973, Cuba established diplomatic relations with the state of Palestine. Now we are hearing different governments recognizing the state of Palestine. That's good. But why we are wasting more than 50 years and putting these people suffering this policy of genocide from Israel? So it is the strong link between the forces that defend the social justice, the right for independence of the people, for the self-determination, for the sovereignty. Well, as Conrad Pala said, I am not coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I have been working for more than 20 years in the Communist Party of Cuba. And I know very well the strong support of the Communist Party of India, among other left forces, to the solidarity with Cuba, condemning this policy of the blockade that has been suffering the Cuban people for more than 65 years. The blockade is totally insane and criminal policy. From the very beginning of the revolution, the United States understood that the Cuban Revolution had the support of the huge majority of the Cuban population. And they cannot defeat the Cuban Revolution trying to convince the people that the socialism was not right, not defending their rights in Cuba, because it was totally the contrary. The triumph of the Cuban Revolution was the first time Cuba can enjoy its real freedom, its independence, and bring to the Cuban population the right for education, for health, for culture, for practicing sport, for social security, for everything that we didn't have before. And they started to think how to try to defeat the revolution, creating problems inside the Cuban society, dividing the Cuban society, trying to make the Cuban people suffering because of lack of food supply, oil supply, putting sanctions for Cuba. It is the essence of the policy of the blockade, to create limitations, imposing lack of social needs for Cuba. This has been the policy from the more than 65 years. But today, the blockade that Cuba is suffering is not the same that 65 years ago. It's different, because now there has been a strong Cuban community, anti-Cuban mafia in Miami that is most represented in the US Congress. There are more than 11 Cuban Americans represented in the US Congress. They all belong to these strike groups
in Florida. And there is today, the State Secretary of the U.S. is one of those that belongs to the mafia in Florida. And he also is the personal advisor for the national security. So they are using today all the instruments in order to defeat the Cuban Revolution. For example, the first step made by this administration was to reinclude Cuba in the list of countries that supposedly sponsor terrorists. And this is a key sanction that affects all the possible financial transactions of Cuba to any foreign bank. For example, we don't have direct financial relations, banking relations with India because of this sanction of the U.S. So the U.S. sanctions is also an attempt to the possibility to have normal relations with any country in the world. Now they are persecuting all the vessels that provide oil to Cuba, putting sanctions on those companies, and we are suffering now lack of electricity in our country because of this policy. They are cutting all the possibility for the Cuban Americans, that we have more than 1 million in U.S., to send remittances to their relative in Cuba. That has been a practice for more than 60 years. They are trying to collapse the tourist sector in Cuba. Before COVID, we were able to reach 1 million tourists to Cuba, was the first income to the Cuban economy. Today it's difficult to recover this industry in Cuba because it not only affects the US citizens, also, for example, the Europeans and other nationalities. If they see, if one European visits Cuba, they immediately suspend the right for those Europeans to travel to US. They deny the visa for those Europeans. See how long and how far goes this policy against our country. And it's true that it creates many difficulties. But in the year we're celebrating the centenary of the birth anniversary of Fidel. Fidel is an example. Fidel is a symbol. Fidel is not a man. Fidel became the principle of the revolution. Fidel became the determination of the Cuban people to overcome this situation, to defeat the blockade because of the resistance of our people, but also because we are taking all the necessary decisions in order to improve the Cuban economy, even though the blockade, and to provide more quality of life to our people. We are very proud that all the support that the communists in India have given to Cuba during all these years. In the forthcoming month, in October, Cuba is going to submit once again a resolution in the General Assembly of the United Nations condemning the US blockade towards Cuba. This resolution is the 33rd occasion we are presenting this resolution, and we have had the support of the international community. Only United States, Israel, and one of another country in all this year has voted against the resolution. So the resolution that has been approved in the General Assembly of the United Nations is a demonstration that the policy of the blockade is totally isolated in the international community. And we call all our friends to continue this fight, condemning the blockade, because we need a very strong international campaign to show to the US that they are wrong, that they are losing prestige if they have some in the international community, that is totally unfair. It's a criminal blockade that should be lifted as soon as possible. It is a determination of the Cuban people. My friend, Fidel Castro, in his last speech during the 7th Congress to the Communist Party of Cuba, he made a short statement. He said, "Delegates, convey to our friends in all the world that Cuban revolution is going to fight, is going to resist, and is going to win. I would like to finish. If you allow me to read the message, the greeting message of the Communist Party of Cuba to the 25th Congress of the Communist Party of India. The Communist Party of Cuba extends fraternal greetings to the Communist Party of India and its 25th Congress. Amid the complex situation the world is experiencing, the holding of this party conclave confirmed the commitment of Indian communists to the struggle for a more just and peaceful world. We wish you success at this Congress while ratifying our willingness to continue strengthening the brotherhood between our parties and people. We reaffirm our gratitude to the CPI for its commitment, solidarity with the Cuban Revolution, for its ongoing support in the fight against the criminal, economic, commercial, and financial blockade of the United States government, and for the exclusion of Cuba from the arbitrary list of states that allegedly sponsor terrorists. Greeted comrades, until victory forever. Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba. Thank you so much.
Mix. Sira bro, sira.
The people united, the longest imperialism. We shall fight, we shall win.
उत्ते नहीं कोई बंदा हैगा उत्ते नहीं कोई बंदा हैगा हैं
ओके गया
वो तो थल्ले ही है
थल्ले ही है
स्विच करो भाई स्विच करे स्विच मेरी गल सुन वॉकी टॉकी लेके देने ब्लूटूथ है इको नेटवर्क कनेक्ट
ओ भाई क्या वो चक्के के वॉकी टॉकी चक्केगा
नहीं वो ब्लूटूथ
वो ले आओ उसमें वो ले आओ
जेड़ा इको नेटवर्क कनेक्ट है ते वो बस उससे दुनिया ने सारा दिन छोड़ लाई वैसे अगला पैलेस्टीन दा बंदा होगा
The 25th Congress of the Communist Party of India, CPI, meeting in September 2025, reaffirms its historic and fraternal ties with the historic people and leadership of the Republic of Cuba. We recall Cuba's contributions to the anti-imperialist struggles, internationalist, medical and social missions, and advances in education, health, and social welfare accomplished under conditions of continuing external pressures. Cuba has endured over 6 decades of coercive measures, economic sanctions, and an extraterritorial embargo that has had a severe impact on its economy and people's well-being. In 2025, Cuba has experienced repeated nationwide and regional power outrage, severely affecting daily life and critical public services. Recent steps taken by the US administration to reinforce Cuba-related restrictions and lists further constrain trade, travel, and remittance, amplifying hardships for Cuban families. International bodies including the United Nations General Assembly, have repeatedly called for the end of US embargo as a violation of the principles of sovereign equality and development. Despite these difficult conditions, Cuba continues to contribute internationally, notably through medical cooperations, disaster relief, and solidarity actions, reflecting its long-standing commitment to internationalism. The CPI expresses serious concern about frequent nationwide power outages and infrastructure failures in Cuba. The pledge to explore, expand and deepen bilateral cooperation in areas of energy, healthcare, water and sanitation, agricultural inputs and agrotechnology, medicines and medical equipments. It will calls upon the Government of India to renew and expand diplomatic and technical cooperation with Cuba, including tailored programs to assist in energy grid stabilization, water pumping systems, hospitals and cold chain equipments and spare parts procurement. The CPI further urges upon the Government of India to facilitate humanitarian channels for the export of pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, energy equipment and foodstuffs to Cuba, ensuring transfers are not embedded by third-party sanctions. 25th Congress of the Communist Party of India hereby reaffirms its unwavering solidarity with the government and people of Cuba in their struggle to defend national sovereignty, social gains, and the dignity of the Cuban Revolution. It condemns unequivocally the economic, commercial, and financial blockade, unilateral sanctions and extraterritorial measures imposed on Cuba, which aggravate shortage of food, medicines, fuel, and hinder reconstruction and development. The CPI calls upon for the immediate and unconditional lifting of UN sanctions, US unilateral sanctions, and extraterritorial measures against Cuba, and urges the Government of India to publicly support the call for the end of the embargo in international fora, including the United Nations. The 25th Congress of Communist Party of India concludes by reaffirming once again that internationalism is integral to its politics. It pledges concrete solidarity to the Cuban people in their struggle for sovereignty, social justice, and development free from coercion. It calls upon progressive forces across India to join in solidarity with Cuba's voice, opposing imperialist sanctions and building substantive people-to-people ties that strengthen Cuba's capacity to overcome present hardships. This is the resolution, solidarity resolution.
So, comrades, we pass this solidarity resolution.
कोई है बंदा
Comrades, photographs with two Cuban ambassadors, with the presidium members, and
showing this side. Show this first, this side. इधर दिखाओ एक बार, उसके बाद उधर लेना.
हेलो वीरे
So we are
यार बड़ा देख लो कैमरा घूमरा कोई सेट करने वाला दे
come in the front.
नहीं तो देख लो
Secretariat members, presidium members also.
आप आगे आगे
From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Free, free Palestine. 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 Free, free
So now, we will start our next session very soon.
Comrades, settle down. We have to continue our